Hello and welcome to the Comically Incompetent Podcast. My name is Doug.
And I'm Ben.
And this week we don't have a beer based on our hero because we did not have the time nor a good beer to get one. But we are going to be talking about a hero that I have a, I guess, shaky past with. Ben, why don't you go into a little bit into who we're talking about?
Love-hate relationship.
Oh, Jesus.
Lots of love. All right, so we're going to be talking about Ghost Rider today. Just a preface for anybody that is a Ghost Rider fan, knows nothing about Ghost Rider. Ghost Rider has many different iterations. We're going to specifically be focusing on the iteration that is Johnny Blaze. That's the kind of middle period of the comic books. It was the second Ghost Rider, and for people that grew up in the 90s, 2000s, etc., those were the really skillfully done Nicolas Cage movies that Doug is a huge fan of.
So, just to preface this, I am biased because I despise Nicolas Cage as an actor. I don't know him as a person, but as an actor, I absolutely hate everything he's ever done. And you can say, what about this movie? What about that movie? I do not like Nicolas Cage.
What about Wicker Man?
So, I'm a little biased to a point of when Ben told me that his name is Johnny Blaze in the movie, I physically rolled my eyes to the back of my head. So, we'll talk about the movies later. I know Ben's going to go into more of the comic book, Johnny Blaze and Ghost Rider, but just to preface, I am biased towards hatred for this. So, Ben, why don't you keep going?
All right, so just to get kind of the intro out of the way, so he first appeared, the Johnny Blaze iteration. It's a Marvel comic book character in 1972. He was done by the author Gary Friedrich and the artist Mike Ploog. I really like Mike Ploog's name. He's done a lot of good stuff. I'm a big fan. For people that have not seen the movie, do or don't go see the movie. Doug will probably get into that.
I'm going to tell you don't, but anyway.
So the aesthetics of this character I'll go into first because I love him. He looks so cool. Oh my God, I love this guy. He is a flaming skeleton, giant flaming skeleton head, and he wears a black leather jacket, matching black leather pants because he is a cool kid, and leather boots. And he's usually got a flaming chain around him, which is the most gangster My Chemical Romance superhero in history. I know, I just love him so much. So a little background information. He has a very interesting backstory. It's not like most heroes, and I'm going to air quotes heroes like I do a lot. So he was a stunt driver for a carnival, like a traveling carnival / circus, like his late father. His late father died doing stunt jump. He's very much Evel Knievel kind of vibe. That was essentially his dad was Evel Knievel.
Okay.
He was adopted by a family of people that worked at that carnival, and he was raised, and they were also stunt riders. So they kept going with the motorcycle thing. He's expert motorcycle rider. There was a kind of horrible issue that happened, and his adopted mother was on her deathbed from a motorcycle accident, like complications of a jump, essentially. And he promised her that he would stop stunt jumping, which makes sense. If you are dying in this situation, you might ask your adopted son to stop motorcycle driving. Unfortunately, his adoptive father, Crash, was not quite as supportive.
Wait, his name was Crash?
His name was Crash.
Well, okay, hold on. Then you're kind of leaning toward...
You're setting yourself up for failure.
You're setting yourself up for a loss. Then you might crash as a stunt driver. Anyway,
not a good start. If you guys start stunt jumping, don't make your name Crash.
Make your name like
Success.
Safe Landing.
Flyo, the great Flyo, the great Landberto. All right, so Crash, oddly enough, young death as he's coming up on, but his was actually because of cancer. So he had cancer. He's on his deathbed. Johnny was dead set. He's like, okay, I need to save him. Like, this guy's my father. I don't know why this didn't jump for his mother, but, good son. Whatever. So what he did is he started studying the occult, which the occult, if people are unfamiliar, is demons, angels, devils, all that. And he made a trade to a demon named Mephisto, and he said, I will give you my soul. I will be at your soul for eternity if you cure this cancer. Demons, being notoriously trustworthy, they accept this deal. Crash is cured from cancer, gets up, goes back to the circus, dies in his first jump. Isn't that sick, dude?
Such a Nicolas Cage thing to happen.
Such a Nicolas Cage thing to happen. He horrifying. Johnny goes to bed that night, wakes up in the middle of the night as a flaming skeleton. No idea what's going on. Because he promises his soul to this guy, but the guy's just like, that's it. Okay, I'm going to have your soul. That's the whole story, I guess.
Interesting.
Yeah, so he wakes up. He has discovered that he's bonded with a soul of an ancient demon named Zarathos. Essentially what it is Mephisto, the demon that he made the deal with, and Zarathos are like ancient enemies. And he traps Zarathos and puts him into people. And that is the Ghost Rider. So the Ghost Rider is people that have this demon inside of them. And you have to do the demon's bidding, which, air quotes, long story short, demons aren't necessarily always bad in this situation. They're trying to get bad souls to hell. They're not usually hunting for good people in this kind of universe.
So, yeah, I didn't know that it's more of like a title than a character. I didn't know that going in, because I guess I haven't seen the first movie in a long time, and I never saw the second one. But I don't think they ever really go into it, the fact that it's I mean, I'm trying to think. What's a good example?
They go into it in the second movie because you meet, what's his name? Sam Ellis, the old cowboy.
Sam Elliott?
Sam Elliott.
Yeah.
And he's also a Ghost Rider.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so going to kind of the origin of that. So there's been a character in Marvel since like the 40s, maybe early 50s, that's called the Phantom Rider. So the Phantom Rider was like an old Western demon cowboy. He wasn't quite as like righteous. It was just kind of a generic villain. You know, it's like throwing Hydra in there. It's like, okay, there's this thing.
Okay.
And then in the 60s, the very first Ghost Rider became Ghost Rider and was this kind of penitent thing. I specifically chose Johnny Blaze because he's kind of the most well-known of all the Ghost Riders, you know?
Plus his name is Blaze and he's on fire.
And he's on fire. And he jumps stuff. It's so cool. He is very interesting because he is the power of a demon essentially, but what he does is he hunts and absolves through fire creatures' sins. So this guy has a lot of powers. So going through powers, here's gonna be. So we're gonna do a little bit of our quiz fun.
Okay.
I'm gonna go. Okay, so Doug, you've seen the Nicolas Cage movie, so fantastic. You've seen he's a flaming skeleton. Tell me, what do you think, or from what you remember, what does this guy do? What's special? Why do we care about him?
So a lot of my Ghost Rider knowledge actually comes from playing Lego Marvel superheroes.
They do a good job. I'll be honest, they do a good job.
But I know that there's the chain. He has like the chain.
He does
whip.
have a flaming chain, which actually is I guess the term for it would be like ethereal. It's summoned from demon fire. So
is the motorcycle, right? I know the motorcycle
is as well.
Yeah.
Most of the things that you associate with him, whether it be like spikes on him or his outfit or his motorcycle, it's actually things that he would normally interact with, like just a random chain and his motorcycle, and then it gets engulfed in demon fire and gives it these special. But you can't extinguish demon fire is kind of the long and the short of it. It's like the demon version of holy water.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that leather daddy outfit is just he already owns that.
He owns the leather daddy.
Oh, so he owns who?
But he doesn't own the spikes. He does not own the emo spikes. They come with demon fire.
Not the Hot Topic
not
dog
the Hot
collar.
Topic collar. Okay. Oh my god, I do.
He does not own that. All right. Or he owns that one. Okay. No,
Yeah.
he doesn't. He doesn't own
He does not.
Okay.
That grows out with demon fire. I swear it's cool.
All right.
Nicolas
I'm biased.
Cage leaves a bad taste in the mouth. Doug's biased against this guy, but he's pretty cool.
Outside of that, I'm going to say, I don't know. I'm going to do my normal guesses. I'm going to say it was a super strength.
Super strong. Super strong. That's a good guess. However, I bet he's so much stronger than you would guess. So in the different comic books, he has lifted in kind of like a deadlift fashion, just picking up the ground, up to 25 tons. That's 50,000 pounds.
What's 25 tons that he's had to lift?
I believe it was a building.
Okay, sorry. For the people who are listening, I rolled my eyes real hard because, I don't know, I pictured Nicolas Cage deadlifting and I'm biased. Anyway.
If it makes you feel better, he tends to look, he doesn't look like Nicolas Cage at all. Even Johnny Blaze doesn't really look like Nicolas Cage.
Good.
He's handsome.
No one should look like Nicolas Cage. All right. Nicholas, if you're watching this, I do not apologize.
Oh, man. Okay, so he's really strong. He has Hellfire, What else do you think this guy has? Dude, it's a laundry list. He has a laundry list of things.
Can that motorcycle like ride up buildings? I think I remember something.
Yeah, it can. He has like, I guess you'd call it like limited flight.
Like he's pulling like a Wicked thing, like defying gravity.
Bingo. He is just like, I don't remember
Elphaba?
the name of the character. I was gonna say Elsa, and I was like, it's not Elsa, that's the Frostburg, Elphaba or whatever. Yeah, just like Elphaba. So what I think, I'm gonna leave his coolest thing for last.
Okay, so I'm gonna admit I'm fully out of guesses, so you can just start diving into that list.
So he can only be damaged and harmed by heavenly weapons. So that has to be a weapon forged by an angel or forged in heaven. There's a couple daggers, swords, crossbows, a couple things like that in the Marvel Universe that have been done.
Do they go into like heaven in the Marvel comics?
Heaven. They don't go into God so much. Like obviously there's like gods, like Thor, but they don't go into like Christian God. But there are angels, there are demons.
Oh, okay.
They go into it a bit. They definitely go a lot more into the demons than the angels. So these are the only things that can hurt him. To put that in perspective, this is a guy that's taken punches from the Hulk, which from everything we've seen, like that kills like anything, basically. The Hulk ripped a planet in half in one of his comic books. He even had his skeletal head, crushed to dust. Literally crushed to dust, and then just regenerated back up.
So regeneration.
Yeah, it's that you can like physically damage them, but it doesn't take.
Oh, okay,
basically,
gotcha.
It's kind of the way it's gonna, it's like you can shoot them with a bullet, and it just it'll like spit the bullet out like Wolverine, and then just meld up.
That was a cool scene in that movie.
It was a really cool scene. I just rewatched through some of those. They're really awesome. He has the ability, and this leads into his coolest power. So he has the ability to look into somebody and see their soul.
Okay.
And what that means is he can see any sin that you've done. It's not necessarily he can read your mind, but like he can look at you and be like, that guy's killed 75 people, or he's done this or that. He can look into their sins. As we went through, he can conjure hellfire. We talked about the motorcycle and the chains. He can also just straight up like make walls of hellfire. He can throw fireballs, which what a cool power, dude. I love throwing fireballs.
Just love that.
It's cool, right?
Is it like Human Torch level of fire abilities, or is it like not as well? Because Human Torch is regular fire, so he can do like not as much, but with hellfire.
Yeah, so kind of the biggest difference I'd say there is like normal fire in the Marvel Universe. Like you look at Johnny Storm, a lot of the crazy, which Johnny Storm is Human Torch for people that don't know. He can like superheat things and like make like a supernova or things like that. The difference of hellfire is like hellfire is hot, but hellfire is more static. Like you won't create like a stronger hellfire. Like you'll never have so much hellfire that you like create like a supernova-esque effect.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, so I would say base level is stronger, but it doesn't necessarily get as crazy as some of Johnny's things. And then the coolest thing about this character and why this character is one of my favorite characters. Listen to how crazy this is. So he has a thing called the penance stare, which once I've described it, you may remember he does use this in the fantastic Nicolas Cage movies.
Okay.
So much like I said, he's able to look into somebody, see their soul, and see their sins. This penance stare allows him to exact all of the suffering that they have ever caused people into their soul, effectively. So he burns your soul with the gravity of the sins that you've committed. So like if you've killed one person, it'll be horrible, and it pretty much kills everybody. I think in that movie it like burns out their eyes and stuff, which it usually does too. Yeah, you remember that? He's like, look into my eyes, and then he like burns them.
I don't think they ever like strictly say that. Like that's what it is.
Yeah, I don't know if they go. I don't even know if they call it the penance stare. I think they just call it the stare.
Yeah.
In the movie or something like that.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but so effectively what's that doing is it makes you relive and feel every sin you've ever committed.
Okay.
And it kills basically everybody. There are like very few to no people have ever survived it. Because everybody's committed some sins.
Yeah.
That's basically what his job is. I mean, that kind of leads into his job. He hunts down these people. He finds their sins, and he goes, well, this guy is going to pay a debt in hell. And he like sends him to hell to help him with his deal, essentially. Because that's the role of the Ghost Rider. The role of the modern Ghost Rider. there's a couple very interesting situations that he's been in with this penance stare. Because again, like 99% of the time, it just annihilates a dude. Like it just wrecks them and they're dead. So I have got a list right here. I'm going to call it 4.
Okay.
4 people, creatures, things survived. And this is a list that some people go back and forth on. But most people will agree on these 4 for various reasons. What 4 people or creatures do you think have survived this, can survive this? These have all happened in the comic books. They have all successfully survived it through various means.
Again, based on the little comic book knowledge I have,
I can give hints too, if you'd prefer to go into it with a hint.
Let me try a couple times. If I don't get it, okay. Captain America would be a guess.
Not Captain America. I don't think he's ever tried to burn Captain America. The one time that he would have tried to burn Captain America was in Civil War, which Civil War is a whole thing in the comic books. I believe him and Captain America were on the same side of Civil War.
Okay. Yeah. Well, based off our episode that we did in the past with Moon Knight, maybe Moon Knight? Because I feel like the schizophrenia thing would make that maybe not possible.
There are 2 characters on my list that I feel would fall down a similar route to that logic, but Moon Knight cannot survive it. Moon Knight gets roasted.
Okay, I'm going to say some hints then.
Okay, you're going to say some hints then?
Okay. I'm going to use a lifeline here.
I'm going to go 2 of them. No, only one of them's in the canonical MCU. One of them is an MCU villain.
Oh, there's a lot of those.
First person. Yeah, but who would survive something that burns your soul for the sins you've committed?
Hold on.
Maybe that helps, maybe that hurts. It at least narrows it down to villains. Very powerful. Very, very powerful.
Thanos?
It is Thanos.
Okay.
So essentially, Thanos is so sold in his conviction that it is not a sin in his soul. What he's done. So he feels nothing.
Okay, I like
that. He feels nothing in that situation.
Yeah, because that shows in the movie he's like so dead that he is right.
Yeah, like that. And the idea is that most bad guys at least kind of know they're bad guys. He legitimately, at his basest core level, does not think he's done anything wrong.
But that's what makes the best villains are the ones who don't think that they're wrong.
Yeah,
because I feel like with most villains, you have like, I'm trying to think of one, like
Lex Luthor,
or I was gonna say like Killmonger in Black Panther.
He's a good villain.
They know what they're doing wrong. They know it's wrong, but that in their hearts it has to be done.
Yeah, they have like
reasoning. Know it's wrong.
They have reasoning leading to something that they know is wrong. Thanos 100% believes that it's just a correct thing that he's doing.
Okay. All right. Okay. So that kind of may help, I guess.
Okay.
Are they all villains? Are they all?
No. Okay. So that was just for that character. That was banging out Thanos. Okay. Second person that survives it. What would our hint be? This guy is in he is a current Marvel superhero in the movies, but is not in the MCU. So one of the active movie series that is not a Disney
Wolverine
Marvel property. No, not Wolverine, but that is an interesting one. I could see how that could flow. He knows he's a dick.
Someone in the Fantastic Four?
Nope. Also, interesting guess. I could see one of them. I could see one of their kids. One of their kids are really strong.
That's all I have.
You were so close with Wolverine. You were so close, dude. Think about people that have regenerative powers like Wolverine. Think about getting ripped in half by Juggernaut and living through Deadpool. So Deadpool's was super interesting. Not only did he survive the penance stare, but after the penance stare, there was actually in the comic a heart-to-heart conversation between Johnny Blaze and I don't know if it's necessarily the Johnny Blaze iteration, but between Ghost Rider and Deadpool, because he looked into him and saw that Deadpool's worst enemy and his worst sin that he viewed himself was himself.
Yeah.
And so he essentially tried to burn himself out, because Deadpool's a very like troubled kind of character.
Yeah.
And he did get really mangled by it, but he did survive. We got 2 more. I think one of them.
You know my comic knowledge. Am I gonna get it?
No, I don't think you're gonna get it. Well, one of them you could get. One of them's too comic booky for you. Okay, so I'm gonna give you a hint for the last one that I think you have a chance of getting.
Okay.
This one has a loosely connected television show that's been canceled, but was a part of the Defenders. This ish.
Daredevil?
No.
Luke Cage?
No.
Iron Fist?
No.
Jessica Jones?
No.
Then who?
Punisher.
Oh, I forgot he got his own show.
Yeah, Punisher got his own show. It was really good, too. If you haven't watched it,
I have not seen it.
Dude,
I gotta
it's
check it out.
10 out of 10. 10 out of 10 comicals.
A little callback there.
His was another one. This is one that some people argue because it has like circumstances connected to it. It was like a weird Ghost Rider, but his is essentially similar to Thanos's, where he believes that he's 100% morally just in what he's done.
I could see that. That's fair.
Yeah, and I believe that one was actually during Civil War. I believe that was during Civil War that occurred.
Okay.
Last one, I think you're going to be a fan of, but I think there's no way you guess this one. He cannot burn the soul out of any of the symbiotes. Which, if people don't know what symbiotes are, that's like Venom,
Carnage.
Symbiote, Spider-Man, Carnage, all of those.
Okay.
Because those alien symbiote creatures don't have souls.
That makes sense. I would never have guessed that, but
Right?
the second you said it, I was like, oh, that makes perfect sense.
It makes sense. Yeah, so he's tried to do it on Carnage. I know he's done it on Venom. I think he's done it on a symbiote Spider-Man. I'm not 100% sure if he's done it on Carnage. But the explanation is that it's because of the symbiotes.
Okay.
Yeah, which is like definitely
That's
an interesting... Okay. I love when they add little bits of science into it, you know?
I will admit, as we've been talking, I still hate Nicolas Cage, but I'm coming around on Ghost Rider as a character.
Dude. He's cool. He's really cool.
I'm honestly coming around on Ghost Rider as a character.
There was one weird one about that where in one iteration when he tried to burn Venom, he actually ended up scorching part of his own soul. Because, it like did a mirror effect. It like shot it back at him. Really weird, right?
Yeah, it's cool.
And you'd think symbiotes are strong, but you'd also think with the list of powers this guy have, he just beat him into the ground with hellfire.
That's true, and that's cool.
I mean, Tobey Maguire could beat a symbiote.
Tobey Maguire could beat anything he wanted.
American treasure.
Well, okay, we'll talk about that when we get to Spider-Man.
Yeah, we'll talk about that when we get to Spider-Man. Okay, so that was a pretty good one. Now let's go to this might be another tough one, but we're gonna go to villains of this character. So who do you think and I'm gonna give you a hint on this one. Don't think like Hydra and gang members and things like that, because he fights gang members. Who do you think are kind of like the big bads that he's trying to conquer? I'll say. I think conquer is a good way to put it.
Yeah, I don't really know, because at least when it comes to like Hellboy, you get a good idea, or Moon Knight, you get a relatively good idea. He's the one that I feel like could be a little all over the board. Like I could see him kind of taking over like some of the more like intense, big like cinematic baddies, or I could see him taking on gangbangers or something like that. I don't know. I feel like he's so all over the board. I don't think I could peg down like in my head what I could imagine him fighting. All
right, so we're gonna go back to one of our earlier episodes, very Hellboy-esque.
Are we talking like, I think I referenced Ghostbusters and like the demon dogs in Ghostbusters?
It's pretty Ghostbustery, not gonna lie. So on a day-to-day comic book, he generally like burns criminals and he collects their souls, sends them off to hell, where, you know, based on burning their soul out, they probably deserved a bit. So 3 main ones that I would point out that he's always trying to fight. So there's a character named Lilith. So Lilith is in like Christian
Borderlands,
canon, you know,
video games.
Like, so essentially, it's the mother of demons. So it's like all demons spawn from Lilith.
Okay.
So that's just a common one, because even though he's like bonded with a demon and basically employed by a demon, he hates demons.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of a whole complicated circle.
Okay.
He's constantly trying to beat Satan. Because who doesn't constantly try and beat Satan? So back to your earlier point, we were talking about like heaven and hell and stuff. There actually is Satan. There canonically is. But Satan's a role. Satan's king of hell, basically. So anyone can be Satan. You can be Satan if you try hard enough.
Fair enough. But I know Satan's a character in like the DC universe. Comes like, well, not Satan, but there's like Raven's father and the DC universe. But I guess
king of the underworld, kind of like Hades. It's more like Hades.
Okay.
It's king of the underworld.
Okay, gotcha.
There actually is an iteration where I'm actually gonna go last villain first. So last villain that he butts heads with is Mephisto, who's the one that conquered him. Makes sense.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, you're not going to like a guy controlling your soul.
Yeah.
So there's an iteration where Mephisto is Satan, essentially. So he's king of hell. He comes to Earth because he's trying to do a bunch of work. Ghost Rider sees that he's not in hell, and he's like, wait a minute. Starts doing math. He starts doing that little like floating numbers in his head. He goes to hell.
Okay.
Takes over hell, and Ghost Rider becomes Satan.
Interesting.
But he's not like a terrible creature. You know, he doesn't like become corrupted as that would be. But yeah, he goes and becomes Satan while Mephisto's on Earth.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, weird, right? Last thing kind of going into, and this is another thing that we referenced in kind of a previous episode, but what do you think Common Alliance he might be a member of? That's one we've talked about once before. And I feel like you're going to forget the name of, and that's okay.
Defenders?
No, not Defenders.
Oh, I know
It's a really cool name. It's a really cool name.
It was a cool name, and I said how dope of a name it was in that episode. It was the Moon Knight episode.
I'm going to give a hint of Middle of the Evening Children.
Children of the Corn.
Children of the Corn. He's a member of Corn the band.
KORN. No, I know exactly what you're talking about, but I can't remember the name now.
The Midnight Suns. So he's very often on the Midnight Suns. He's actually one of the leaders of it at some point. Usually Doctor Strange is the leader. But
okay.
He's often in that group. As you might imagine, they fight supernatural stuff.
I like how you said that as if at some point through that I was going to get there.
I was really hoping when I got mid, you were going to be like, Midnight Suns! I got it! I knew it! And I'm like, yeah, not quite.
Nope, my brain just had that monkey with the cymbals clapping the entire time, so...
So, I'm a big fan. I'm a really big fan. I know you originally were not.
Yeah, definitely not.
But do you like him a little bit more, at least?
I definitely do. I definitely feel like there's a lot I didn't know about him that I feel like is really cool. I feel like works really well, and I feel like I think it's just badass.
Yeah, it's pretty gangster.
But I think, when you take into consideration the 2007 and 2011 movies,
they were not great.
No,
I get why you might be biased against this character, but that's part of why I love this podcast. I'm going to be honest, I think you might not be the only person that's not a fan of Nicolas Cage. I think other people might not like him as well.
I'm sure I'm not.
And I bet that originally may have turned people off of that. So I'm not going to say that movie is necessarily great or good or reasonable. However, I will say Sam Elliott in the second movie. Sam Elliott's awesome.
He's in the first movie too.
Is he really in the first one? Huh.
Caretaker?
Yeah, he's a caretaker.
Yeah, I'm looking at the IMDb as we speak.
IMDb.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Well, if you want, I can go into the movies a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, let's say, because you tend to have kind of a better movie perspective on it than me. So give me kind of your impression of that. So, obviously, let's ignore the fact, obviously, not a Nicolas Cage fan.
Yeah. I'll go
other aspect.
Yeah. So it was 2007. It was produced by Columbia Pictures, a few other studios, Marvel, obviously, Crystal Sky, and Relativity. It was distributed by Sony. So I've been to Sony Studios, and when I was there, I had the honor and privilege of seeing the Leather Daddy outfit that Nicolas Cage wore.
Wait, are you serious? I didn't hear this story.
Yeah, it was actually there. They have it on display in the lobby of one of the Sony buildings in LA.
That's fantastic.
In Culver City.
You think they'd have better props to put up?
There wasn't a lot. There was a recreation of the motorcycle there as well.
It's a pretty sick motorcycle.
So I haven't seen this movie probably since 2007. I don't remember a whole lot. Got a 35 Metascore and a 5 out of 10 on IMDb.
That's about accurate. I'm going to be honest. That's about what I'd rate that movie.
Yeah. I mean, and then the second one was even worse. It was a 4 out of 10 on IMDb and a 34 Metacritic. Ghost Rider Spirit of Vengeance.
So I think the biggest bummer about those, because I watch these movies every couple of weeks. No, I'm just kidding. No, but I do remember enough of the differences between them is 2 was a way worse movie, but I thought 2 was actually a better description of the character. Like a lot of the things he does in the second movie explain the character of the Ghost Rider. Because you get a more impression of the caretaker as a Ghost Rider. He's fighting, I believe, it might be Mephisto that he's fighting. He's fighting a demon in that. Like a demon's trying to collect a soul ledger in the second movie.
In the second one, Idris Elba plays Moro.
Might need to go back and watch that one. No, I don't. I don't need to go.
You don't need to.
Marvel needs to make a new Ghost Rider movie. I'm holding out hope. So here's the thing: we have Doctor Strange 2 coming up. There's no chance in hell Ghost Rider's in there, but I'm holding out hope that Ghost Rider's in there.
No, that's gonna be
because Wanda also Midnight Sun, well, Midnight Daughter.
I was gonna say it's gonna be a Scarlet Witch and Doctor Strange horror movie.
Yeah,
they're going horror with
it. Realm of Madness or
the Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah,
they could have if they would have started building Ghost Rider again as a character, they probably could have done it. But I think because those movies, the 2007, 2011 Nick Cage movies, flopped.
Yeah.
Well, they didn't flop. I think they performed relatively well in the box office, but I don't think they weren't well reviewed
Oh,
by
absolutely
fans
not.
or critics, which I guess critics don't really mean a whole lot when it comes to comic movies, but the fans didn't like it as much.
Yeah, because it just wasn't.
Which, if you liked it, tweet at us at ComicallyPod and tell us why.
Yeah, let us know why you liked that movie.
Or
And
didn't
you know
like
what?
it.
You know what? If you just liked it because you like Ghost Rider, hey, that's a pretty perfect reason to like that movie. Because the Ghost Rider parts are sick. I think the problem is Nicolas Cage is not very tough, and this character is supposed to be like one of the most intense in the Marvel universe.
Plus, I feel like it doesn't fit a PG-13 rating. I feel like
No,
an
not
R
even.
rating is needed.
You need R. He's literally burning people's souls out.
Yeah, and they also changed directors between the first and second. The
Oh,
first one was
really?
directed by Mark Steven Johnson, which I'm not sure if he maybe knew a lot about it. The second one actually had two directors. It was Brian Taylor and Mark Neveldine.
It's a fancy last name.
So I feel like maybe those guys maybe had a better grasp of the character. You also don't know if
It's tough getting
Columbia
handed
Pictures
a bad movie.
stepped in and said, "Hey, we want this to be PG-13." Maybe they had a good version that was changed.
I could really believe that. I really believe that it was intended to be R and then stepped in.
I mean, as much as I hate Nicolas Cage, I gotta give it the benefit of the doubt just of what I know about this character now. I think maybe somebody down the line, maybe the screenwriters. I mean, the first one was written by the same guy who directed it, Mark Steven Johnson. I mean, maybe he has a good grasp of the character, but it was. Yeah, actually, you know what? Never mind. I take that back. He also wrote the Daredevil with Ben Affleck in 2003.
I didn't hate it as much as I'm assuming you hated it. It wasn't good.
It wasn't good.
It wasn't good.
It got a better Metascore, but a worse IMDb rating.
I'd believe that. I do think he's also challenging to put into a thing like the MCU. Because if you look at all of the characters in the MCU, for the most part, they all somewhat work with others in a functional manner. I have a hard time how you'd shoehorn Ghost Rider into like the Avengers.
I don't think you would. I think that would be more of a hero where I feel like you don't give him his own thing. Maybe give him his own Disney Plus TV show, but maybe he only shows up and helps in solo movies. Not like
That could
in
be
an Avengers
interesting.
movie, but
Yeah, I
maybe
could
he
see him
shows
show
up in
at
like
a WandaVision thing.
yeah, like a Doctor Strange movie or something. Maybe he doesn't pop up for whatever Infinity War Endgame style movie they do 10 years from now, but maybe he shows up kind of along the way.
I'm calling it now. I'm gonna go back on what I said earlier. I said there's no chance in Hellfire that he shows up in Doctor Strange. I know Doug rolled his eyes because of that fantastic pun. I'll say it louder next time so you hear it better. So I bet at some point in Doctor Strange 2, Multiverse of Madness, there's gonna be like a box in a corner with a bunch of Ghost Rider stuff in it.
Like you think they're going to reference
They're going to
Ghost
reference
Rider.
it. Just like how Howard the Duck was at the Infinity Saga battle, which he was. You can go back and see Howard the Duck there.
He was in it?
He was in the battle.
I know he was in one of the Guardians of the Galaxy movies.
Yeah, he was in the Collector's, one of his like.
And he was in the end
twos.
credits scene.
Yeah.
Where he's like, hey, I'm out with the duck.
Guy's so uncomfortable looking. Yeah, he's also in the battle when they use the slip rings to open up all the circles and bring everybody to the battle at the end of Endgame. Yeah, Howard the Duck is one of the people running out. It's so Marvel, dude.
I've seen that
God, I
movie
love
countless
Marvel.
times, and I don't think I've
It's
ever
little.
noticed
It's
that.
really little. It's really little.
You know why? Because I spend that whole time looking at that shot where Chris Evans just gets Mjolnir.
Dude, that's like I wanted to see that in cinema from the time I was like 5 years old. The first time I ever heard Avengers Assemble, I was like, I need the most epic Avengers Assemble of all time.
But I think that's what made that Avengers Assemble specifically so great is because he never said it the entire time. He got close.
That's a really good point.
He says it. At the end of Ultron, he says Avengers, and then it cuts to black, and the credits roll.
Oh my god!
So he never says it. That's the only time he says it in that scene. Avengers, and then catches Mjolnir. Assemble.
I'm not usually a fan of when people stand up and clap in movies because I think it's like, what's the point? But that was worth it. People earned through their watching experience.
I had been to a lot of
clapping.
premieres, and that was by far the best in that moment.
Oh yeah.
The first time when the hammer goes up and it goes to Thor and then goes back and Captain America catches it. And I'm glad that I feel like the movie when they did it, they knew the theater was going to freak out.
Oh, yeah.
So there's a pause where the theater's just losing its
Yeah,
mind.
there's like a 10-second pause there of like no to light audio.
What could
because
be,
they just know people are losing their minds.
What could be interesting because I feel like my theory about this new MCU, because they finished the Infinity Saga, 22, 23 movies, whatever. I feel like Galactus could be a good villain for the end of this saga. I feel like a cool way to bring like Ghost Rider into it would be interesting. Was like they're in like he's kind of a part of it along the way, but then they're in the big fight. Maybe they're kind of losing to Galactus. Then all of a sudden, like he's about to like grab someone, a fire chain comes, wraps around his hand, and like pulls it back, and then Ghost Rider just like comes out of the ground in Hellfire on his motorcycle, rides around. Everyone kind of gets back up and starts fighting Galactus again or something.
I almost want it to just be like a wink in the corner kind of thing.
I feel
because I'm worried he's hard to do right.
They're eventually going to try again with everything. They're going to try again. They're going to do Fantastic Four again.
And they're on the 800th Spider-Man.
Probably, yeah. I mean, what do we got so far? We got Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, Andrew Garfield Spider-Man, Tom Holland Spider-Man, and then my favorite of all of them, Spider-Verse.
Yeah, Spider-Verse was awesome. That's getting a second one too.
Oh,
we'll have to do a whole episode on that.
Oh, we better. Because that was...
on the different Spider people.
And maybe just an episode on the movie, because I could talk for an hour on my own about that movie.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that.
But I just think bringing Ghost Rider back around, I think that maybe down the line you do a Disney Plus show. I don't think you give him a movie. I don't think you make
unfortunately he's not. I don't think
you even give him a side character as a movie. I think he's got to just have a TV show where you reintroduce the character of, whether it's Johnny Blaze or not, you bring Ghost Rider back into the world and kind of... I feel like he's one you got to ease back into.
Yeah,
because I feel like Fantastic Four was easy to go, here's the Fantastic Four right in your face, and
I feel like Ghost Rider, you're going to need several episodes of him not being Ghost Rider before you can accept that some guy is Ghost Rider. You know what I mean? Just, it's going to need a lot of like setup.
Yeah.
But I think it could be really good. And I got faith in it. I love Ghost Rider, as you might have guessed from this. I said earlier, he is one of the main characters that I was thinking of when I brought up this idea of the podcast. I was like, because so many people think Ghost Rider is Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, really. I mean, I know when Ben came to me and said, hey, I want to do a podcast on comic book heroes. And the examples you gave me, I think, were a couple that I'm not going to say just because we're going to get there.
We'll get there.
Definitely Ghost Rider was on that short list that you gave me to kind of... Which is funny that you used that to pitch to me, considering you've known for years how much I hate him.
I know you hate him, but I was like...
I don't hate him anymore. I will admit, I don't hate Ghost Rider anymore.
I hate Ghost Rider. Ghost Rider's a great actor.
I don't hate Ghost Rider anymore. I do still loathe Mr. Cage.
That's fair. All right, well, so I mean, I think I've done a thoroughly good job here of getting you to love Ghost Rider.
Yeah, pretty much everything that I would find interesting. And I'm sure there's more, but
there's so many iterations. There's like 4 different iterations of Ghost Rider and Phantom Rider, but that's a whole thing.
There's only so much time in the world that we can talk about Hellfire.
But if you guys loved it, if there is enough love for the Ghost Rider and there's a certain iteration you guys want to see, or same thing as always, if there's a different hero you want us to see, be sure to send us messages. Let us know. Send us DMs. Doug, you've got our Twitter info.
Yeah, follow us at ComicallyPod. Let us know if you want to know more about other iterations of the Ghost Rider. We can definitely do that for you guys.
Yeah, it'd be a good time. Thanks for listening, everybody.